Nice paperweight, lady. That thing shoots or just looks pretty in your hands. The words slice through the morning air at Desert Ridge Range like a knife through silence. Troy Mitchell's voice carries that particular brand of cruelty reserved for people who mistake confidence for competence. 28 years old, security forces at Nellis Air Force Base, off duty on a Saturday morning, and apparently convinced that humiliating strangers counts as public service. Rachel Bennett doesn't flinch. She stands at lane 7, hands steady on an AR platform rifle that just jammed for the second time in 3 minutes. The Nevada sun beats down through the range's partially covered shooting lanes, casting sharp shadows across worn concrete. It's 10:15 a.m., and the Saturday qualification crowd has swelled to about 25 people. Most are here for concealed carry permits, some for sport. A handful wearing clothes that scream recently separated military, trying to maintain skills. Rachel is none of these things, but nobody here knows that yet. The failure to eject happened on her very first shot. Brass casing stuck in the chamber, refusing to clear. Standard malfunction drill. Tap the magazine, rack the charging handle, reassess. Except the rifle jammed again immediately. Another brass stuck. Another malfunction. And now, Troy Mitchell's crew 4 lanes over is having the time of their lives. Broken rifle for a broken shooter, Blake Harper adds, pulling out his phone. 25 years old, Air Force Nellis, the type who films everything hoping something goes viral. His camera is already pointed at Rachel's lane. This is going to be good content. Rachel breathes. 4 count in, 4 count hold, 4 count out. The pattern is so automatic she doesn't register doing it anymore. Her hands move through the immediate action drill with mechanical precision. Magazine seated, charging handle back, chamber clear, visual inspection, reload. But anyone watching closely would notice something odd. The way her fingers move, the angle of her grip, the L-shaped stance when she brings the rifle back up. These aren't YouTube tutorial movements. These are reflexes carved into muscle memory through repetition that civilian training doesn't provide. Walter Price notices. He's 68, lane 3, wearing a faded Air Force veteran cap with pins from an era when pins meant something. He's been coming to Desert Ridge for 15 years, ever since his wife passed, and shooting became his Saturday ritual. He watches Rachel clear the malfunction, and something in his chest tightens. That breathing pattern. He knows that breathing pattern. But before Walter can process what he's seeing, Troy's voice cuts through again. Seriously, did you buy that rifle at a pawn shop? Or is this one of those my boyfriend built it specials? Troy's crew laughs. Garrett Stone, 27, sniper wannabe who washed out of the qualification course twice. Austin Reed, 24, the follower who laughs at everything Troy says, whether it's funny or not. They're gathered at lanes 5 and 6, their own weapons laid out, but shooting has clearly become secondary to the entertainment unfolding nearby. Rachel doesn't respond. She checks the chamber again, inspects the bolt face, examines the extractor. Her movements are methodical, unhurried. She's wearing a plain gray tactical-style shirt, cargo pants, boots that have seen real use, no brand names, no patches except a small, faded explosive ordnance disposal crab logo on her left sleeve, so worn it's barely visible. Her dark blonde hair is pulled back in a simple ponytail. No jewelry, no watch, just a Kydex holster on her right hip, carrying a Sig Sauer P320 with custom grips. The holster catches Walter's attention next. That's not a civilian carry rig. That's a duty-grade setup. Retention level 2, mounted at exactly the right angle for a practiced draw. And the way her hand hovers near it, not touching, just aware. That's not paranoia. That's training. You know what I think? Troy stands up from his lane, walking closer. He's built like someone who spends serious time in the base gym, arms that strain against his tight-fitted shirt. I think you're one of those Instagram tactical girls. All gear, no idea. Probably got that rifle because it looked cool in photos. Blake films closer now, narrating quietly into his phone. Watch this. Civilian tries to qualify with broken equipment. This is why we need better vetting at public ranges. Rachel finally looks up. Her eyes are gray, calm, and completely unreadable. She meets Troy's gaze for exactly 2 seconds, then returns to her rifle. Still no words. The silence is somehow more unnerving than any comeback could be. She loads a fresh magazine, chambers around, brings the rifle to low ready position. Her stance shifts slightly, feet shoulder width apart, weight balanced. The rifle comes up smooth, Sight alignment, breath control, 4-count pattern without even thinking about it. Finger moves to the trigger, the shot cracks out. 50 yards downrange, the paper target remains untouched. Not a miss. The rifle jammed again before the round could fire. Click, dead trigger. Troy's laughter booms across the range. Oh man, 3 for 3. That's impressive consistency. He turns to his crew. Broken rifle for a broken shooter should be her call sign. Blake's still filming. This is gold. Wait till the boys back at Nellis see this. Garrett joins in, emboldened. Maybe stick to something more your speed. They have a .22 pistol lane for beginners. Rachel doesn't react. She clears the malfunction again. Same drill, same precision, tap, rack, inspect, reload. And here's the detail that Walter Price catches, but nobody else does. When she racks the charging handle, her fingers brush a specific part of the upper receiver. Not random, deliberate, like she's checking something, or adjusting something. Walter's eyes narrow. He sets down his own rifle and watches more carefully. Rachel chambers another round, takes her stance. Breath control visible in the slight rise and fall of her shoulders. 4-4-4 pattern. The rifle comes up, sight picture acquired, and click. Another malfunction. This time Troy doesn't just laugh. He walks right up to the lane divider between them, arms crossed, grin wide. Okay, real talk. You need help? Because this is painful to watch. That rifle is clearly too much gun for you. Blake moves closer with the phone. Yeah, no shame in admitting you're in over your head. We could probably get you sorted out. Troy here is security forces. He knows his stuff. Rachel finally speaks, her first words in 18 minutes. I'm fine. 2 words, flat, neutral. Then she turns away and focuses back on her rifle. The dismissal hits Troy's ego like a slap. His jaw tightens. Fine? You call 4 malfunctions fine? That weapon is either defective or you don't know how to maintain it. He leans against the lane barrier. Which is it? Bad gun or bad owner? Silence. Rachel inspects the chamber again, checking the extractor claw, the ejector, running through diagnostics that suggest she knows exactly what she's doing, which makes the malfunctions even more bizarre. Garrett chimes in from lane 6. I bet $50 she doesn't qualify. Broken rifle, broken skills. You're on, Blake says, still filming. This is content gold. Woman fails CCW qual with busted rifle. The comments are going to be brutal. Austin, quieter than the others, but still complicit, adds his 2 cents. Maybe she's having a bad day. We've all been there. Bad day? Troy scoffs. Man, this is beyond a bad day. This is fundamental incompetence. Look at her stance. Look at her grip. She's trying to look tactical, but she's got no foundation. Walter Price has heard enough. He's seen enough too. The way Rachel moves is an amateur. The breathing isn't stress management from a weekend course. That's combat breathing, 4-count box breathing, the kind taught to people who work in environments where panic means death. EOD techs breathe like that. Special operations breathe like that. People who've had to make life or death decisions while their hands shake from adrenaline breathe like that. And that holster. Walter was Air Force in Vietnam, worked with enough joint operations to recognize quality gear when he sees it. That's not a $200 civilian rig. That's closer to $600, custom-molded professional grade. Something is very wrong with this picture, or very right, depending on perspective. Have you ever been judged wrong? Hit that. Like if you believe justice always comes, you just need patience. And don't forget to subscribe to see how she turns this completely around. Rachel loads another magazine, her 5th attempt. The range safety officer, David Ortega, has been watching from his elevated booth. He's 52, former Air Force himself, runs Desert Ridge with strict adherence to safety protocol and zero tolerance for drama. But what's happening at Lane 7 is becoming a situation. He keys his microphone. Lane 7, you're holding up rotation. Either qualify or clear the line. Rachel nods once, doesn't look up. She chambers around, assumes her stance, and this time something shifts. Her grip changes subtly. The rifle settles into her shoulder with a tiny adjustment. She breathes. 4, 4, 4. The muzzle steadies on target. The shot breaks clean. 50 yards out, the paper target shows a neat hole. Center mass. Perfect placement. Troy's grin falters for a second. Lucky shot. Rachel cycles the bolt manually. Chambers another round. Breath. Aim. Fire. Another hit. Center mass. 2 inches from the first. Okay, 2 lucky shots, Troy mutters. But Rachel's on a rhythm now. Third shot, fourth, fifth, each one precise. The malfunction seems forgotten. The rifle that was broken 3 minutes ago is suddenly running flawlessly. By the eighth shot, Troy has stopped talking. Blake's still filming, but his commentary has died. Garrett's watching with narrowed eyes, something like suspicion creeping into his expression. 10 shots, 10 hits, all center mass, all within a 4-inch group at 50 yards. Not expert level, but solid, competent. The kind of shooting that comes from practice, not Instagram. Rachel safes the weapon, magazine out, chamber clear, lays it on the bench. Then she walks to the range officer booth without a word. David checks her target through binoculars, marks his clipboard. Passing score, barely. You had me worried with those malfunctions. Rachel just nods. No celebration, no relief. She returns to lane 7 and starts packing her gear methodically. Rifle into case, magazines into pouches, every movement economical, practiced. Troy's not done, though. The brief moment of doubt has passed, replaced by doubling down. So, you can shoot when the gun actually works. Congratulations. That still doesn't explain why your rifle jammed 4 times in a row. Bad maintenance? Cheap ammo? Or did you just not know what you were doing until you got embarrassed enough to figure it out? Rachel doesn't respond. She zips the rifle case, secures the straps. Blake moves closer with his phone, emboldened by Troy's renewed confidence. Hey, since you qualified, mind if I ask what your background is? Military? Law enforcement? Or just enthusiast? The word enthusiast drips with condescension. It's the term they use for civilians who play dress-up, who buy expensive gear to compensate for lack of skill. Rachel looks at Blake's phone, then at Blake. No comment. She picks up the rifle case, slings her range bag over her shoulder. No comment, Troy repeats, mocking. That's what people say when they've got something to hide, or nothing to show. Walter Price has been organizing his own gear, but he's listening to every word, watching every movement. That sig on Rachel's hip bothers him. Not the weapon itself, but something about it. He can't quite see from this distance, but there was a moment when she adjusted her holster that he caught a glimpse of the serial number plate. Custom engraved, not factory standard. Rachel walks past Troy's lane toward the exit. The range complex has covered shooting bays, an open-air center area, and a parking lot transition zone. To get to the parking lot, you pass through a short breezeway between the covered lanes and the main building. Troy calls after her. Hey, broken rifle, before you go, that patch on your sleeve, EOD, where'd you get that? Rachel stops, doesn't turn around, just stops. Because, Troy continues, walking after her, EOD is no joke. Those techs are legit, and that patch looks pretty faded, which makes me wonder, did you earn it, or did you find it at a surplus store? Now Rachel turns, slowly. Her face is neutral, but something in her eyes has changed. Walter sees it from lane 3. It's not anger, it's something colder, calculation. Where I got it, Rachel says quietly, is none of your concern. I think it is, Troy pushes. Stolen valor is a thing. People pretending to be military when they're not. It's disrespectful to those of us who actually serve. Blake's phone is up again, recording. This is good. Confronting stolen valor at a public range. The internet loves this stuff. Garrett joins them, forming a loose semicircle. Just show some ID, DD-214, VA card, something. Prove you're legit and we'll leave you alone. Rachel's jaw tightens. I don't owe you proof of anything. That's exactly what a fake would say, Troy counters. He's fully committed now, playing to Blake's camera, to the small crowd that's starting to gather. A confrontation is entertainment. People are drifting over from other lanes, curious. Walter Price is moving too, but slower, his old knees not cooperating with the urgency he feels. Rachel takes a breath. 4, 4, 4. Walter hears it from 10 feet away. She's controlling anger, or anxiety, or something. That breathing is the tell. She's using it like a tool. Final time, Rachel says, voice level. Move, let me leave. Or what? Troy steps closer, emboldened by his audience, by Blake's camera, by the fact that he's got 3 friends and she's alone. You're going to assault me? In front of witnesses? Go ahead. I'm Air Force Security Forces. I know my rights, and I know stolen valor when I see it. This is the moment, the tipping point. Rachel could walk away, force her way past, call the range officer. Instead, she does something unexpected. She sets down her rifle case and range bag carefully, straightens up, and waits. What are you doing? Garrett asks, suddenly less confident. Waiting for you to decide, Rachel says simply. Either let me pass or make good on your threats. Troy hesitates. This isn't how it's supposed to go. The stolen valor confrontations he's seen online always end with the fake apologizing, running away, or breaking down. They don't end with the target calmly calling the bluff. I'm not threatening you, Troy recovers. I'm asking for proof. If you're legitimate, prove it. If you're not, admit it. I don't answer to you, Rachel replies. I don't owe you my service record. I don't owe you my credentials. What I owe you is nothing. Blake laughs nervously behind the camera. She's getting defensive. That's usually a sign. Or, Walter Price's voice cuts through, finally reaching the group. It's a sign that she's a private citizen who doesn't need to justify herself to a bunch of kids playing military police. Troy turns. Sir, with respect, this doesn't concern you. With respect, Walter echoes. I've been watching for the last 20 minutes, and I've seen enough to know you're barking up the wrong tree. How do you figure? Garrett challenges. Walter points at Rachel without looking at her. Her breathing pattern, her malfunction drills, the way she grips that sidearm. That's not civilian training. That's not even standard military. That's specialist. Troy scoffs. You can't tell that just from watching someone shoot. Maybe you can't, Walter says quietly, but I can. 30 years Air Force. I know what train looks like, and she's trained. Rachel's expression doesn't change, but there's the slightest nod of acknowledgement toward Walter. Not gratitude, just recognition. One professional seeing another. Troy's not backing down, though. The audience is too big now. 10, 12 people gathered. Phones out. This is his moment. Training can be faked. Gear can be bought. What can't be faked is credentials. DD-214, VA card, unit patch verification. Show us something real or admit you're playing dress-up. The crowd murmurs. Some nod in agreement. Others look uncomfortable. The tension is thick enough to cut. Rachel picks up her bags again. Last warning, move. Make me, Troy says, and immediately regrets it. Because Rachel doesn't make him. She doesn't push, doesn't shove, doesn't escalate. She simply steps around him, giving him space, clearly avoiding contact. And that's when Troy makes his critical mistake. He grabs her shoulder, not hard, not violent, just enough to stop her, to assert control, to prove his point. I said, Troy repeats, fingers on her shoulder, prove it. The range goes silent. Even the active lanes stop firing. David Ortega is out of his booth, moving fast, yelling something about de-escalation. Walter's eyes go wide, because he knows. He knows what's about to happen, but it doesn't happen. Rachel doesn't strike, doesn't counter. She just stops, looks down at Troy's hand on her shoulder, and says very quietly, remove your hand. Show me proof first. Remove your hand. Troy's grip tightens instead. Or what? You're going to play tough guy? You can't even keep your rifle running and you're going to... The range officer reaches them. Hands off. Now, Troy, step back or you're banned. Troy releases her shoulder but doesn't move. I just want to see credentials. That's not unreasonable. We're protecting military integrity here. David Ortega looks at Rachel. Ma'am, you're not required to show identification beyond what Nevada CCW laws mandate, which you've already provided. If you want to file a complaint about harassment, I'll support it. Rachel shakes her head slightly. I just want to leave. Then leave, David says firmly, glaring at Troy. And you four, back to your lanes, now, or we're done here. Blake lowers his phone reluctantly. Garrett and Austin drift back. But Troy stands his ground one more moment, playing for the crowd. This isn't over, he says. Stolen valor is a crime. I'm going to report this to the MPs at Nellis. Let them investigate. You do that, David says coldly. And I'll report the harassment. Camera footage includes audio. We'll see who comes out better. That finally makes Troy hesitate. He backs off, hands up in mock surrender. Fine, fine. Just saying something doesn't add up. Rachel walks toward the parking lot transition area, Walter following at a distance. The crowd disperses slowly, disappointed that there wasn't a bigger scene. Blake's still got his phone out, already typing captions. Garrett and Austin return to their lane, but keep glancing over. Troy stands there, jaw tight, clearly feeling like he lost something, even though no punches were thrown. In the transition area, out of immediate earshot, Walter catches up to Rachel. Hey, you okay? She nods, doesn't stop walking. That breathing pattern, Walter says carefully, 4-4-4, Box breathing. I learned that in survival school. You learn it somewhere specific? Rachel stops, looks at him, really looks this time, evaluating. Where'd you serve? Air Force, Vietnam era, flew support missions. He points to his cap. Long time ago. Then you know, Rachel says simply, that some things are better left quiet. I do, Walter agrees. But I also know that those boys are going to push this. Blake's already posting that video. Troy's got ego invested now. They're not going to let it go. Rachel's expression hardens. Let them push. Just be careful, Walter warns. Stolen valor accusations go viral fast, even when they're wrong. I know. Rachel adjusts her rifle case, shifts her bag. For the first time, Walter gets a clear look at the SIG on her hip. The serial number plate catches sunlight. Custom engraving. He can't read it fully, but he sees enough. Letters and numbers that don't match standard factory codes. That's sidearm, Walter says slowly. That's not stock. Rachel's hand instinctively covers the holster. It's legal. I didn't say it wasn't, Walter pauses. I said it's not stock, custom serial, which means either you paid a lot of money for collector's value or... He trails off, not wanting to push. Rachel meets his eyes. For a long moment, neither speaks. Then she says, very quietly, "Thank you for speaking up. Most people don't." "Most people don't recognize what they're seeing," Walter replies. He extends his hand. "Walter Price, Master Sergeant, retired." Rachel hesitates, then shakes it. Her grip is firm, professional. "Rachel Bennett. Bennett," Walter repeats. "That name rings a bell." "Common name," Rachel says quickly, releasing his hand. "Right," Walter doesn't push. "Well, Rachel Bennett with a common name and a custom SIG and breathing patterns from someone who's done more than punch targets on weekends. You watch yourself. Those boys are hot-headed, but they've got connections. Security Forces has friends in the MPs. They might actually follow through." "Let them," Rachel says again. Then, softer, "I appreciate the concern, but I can handle this." She walks to her truck, a weathered Ford F-150 with Nevada plates and a subtle dent in the rear bumper. No bumper stickers, no decals, nothing identifying. She loads her gear, climbs in, and drives away without looking back. Walter watches her go, troubled. Something about this whole situation feels wrong, not Rachel. The situation, the malfunction that cleared itself, the perfect shooting once she needed it, the custom sidearm, the EOD patch so faded it's barely there, the way she moved through those drills like they were reflex, not learned. Back at the range, Troy's crew has regrouped. Blake's on his phone, scrolling through comments already coming in on the video he posted. "Dude, this is already at 300 views. People are eating this up." "What are they saying?" Troy asks, ego soothed by validation. Mostly agreeing with us. "Call out the fakes. Stolen valor is disgusting." Stuff like that. A few saying we were too harsh, but whatever. Garrett's cleaning his rifle, but his mind is elsewhere. That woman, though, something about her was off. "Yeah," Troy agrees. "She was faking it. That's what was off." "No, I mean," Garrett struggles to articulate it, "the way she moved. When you grabbed her shoulder, I saw her weight shift, like she was about to do something. Then she just didn't." "Because she's all show," Troy insists. "All gear, no skill." "Her shooting wasn't no skill," Austin points out quietly. "Once the rifle worked, she qualified clean." "After 4 malfunctions," Troy counters, "that rifle was junk. Or she doesn't know how to maintain it. Either way, not military-grade competence." Blake's still on his phone. "Guys, this is picking up. We're at 500 views now. Should I post another video, like a follow-up, explaining our side?" "Do it," Troy says. "Make sure people know we were protecting military integrity, not harassment." Walter Price returns to lane 3, but he can't focus on shooting anymore. He packs his own gear slowly, mind replaying the last 30 minutes. That woman, Rachel Bennett. There was something about her that triggered old instincts, the kind of instincts that kept him alive in hostile territory 40 years ago. She wasn't a threat. She was contained, like a weapon safed and holstered, functional, ready, but deliberately set to standby. And that serial number. He couldn't read the full thing, but what he saw bothered him. The format was wrong for civilian custom work. It looked more like military designation coding, the kind used for specialized units, special operations, black programs. He pulls out his phone, opens a browser, types carefully, Google's shadow bat unit on a hunch, gets minimal results. Most are redacted, classified. A few forum posts from military enthusiasts speculating about counter-terrorism operations in Mosul between 2016 and 2018. No official confirmation, no unit roster, nothing concrete. He adds EOD to the search, gets even less. One article mentions explosive ordnance disposal teams embedded with special operations during Mosul liberation. High casualty rate. Dangerous work. Most personnel records sealed. Walter stares at his phone, puzzle pieces forming a picture he's not sure he wants to see. That faded EOD patch, the breathing pattern, the custom sidearm, the way she cleared malfunctions like she'd done it 1,000 times under stress, the way she qualified perfectly once she needed to, and the malfunction itself. 4 jams in a row, then suddenly the rifle runs clean? That's not random mechanical failure, that's deliberate, induced malfunction, which means she was testing something, or someone. Walter looks across the range toward lanes 5 and 6, where Troy's crew is packing up, laughing, riding high on their viral moment, and he wonders if they have any idea what they just stepped into. Because if Rachel Bennett is who Walter thinks she might be, those boys didn't catch a stolen valor case. They just poked a sleeping predator, and now she knows exactly who they are, what they look like, how they react under pressure, and most importantly, that they lack the discipline to recognize real danger when it's standing right in front of them. Walter loads his gear into his old Chevy sedan and sits behind the wheel for a long moment. He should let this go. He should forget he saw anything, drive home, have lunch, take his afternoon nap like every other Saturday. But that instinct, the one that kept him alive in Vietnam, won't shut up. It's screaming that something significant just happened, something that's going to unfold in ways none of these people expect. He pulls out his phone again, scrolls through contacts until he finds a number he hasn't called in 5 years. Colonel Patricia Reeves, retired, former Air Force liaison to Joint Special Operations. They served on the same base in the 90s, stayed in touch sporadically. She's connected. She knows people. If anyone can quietly verify whether Rachel Bennett is who Walter suspects, it's her. The phone rings 4 times. Patricia answers, voice brisk. Walter Price, it's been years. What do you want? Straight to the point. That's Patricia. I need you to check something quietly, Walter says. Name is Rachel Bennett, possibly EOD, possibly Special Operations, possibly Mosul region around 2016 to 17. Might be using a serial designation starting with SB. Silence on the line. Then, why are you asking? Because I just watched 4 active duty kids harass her at the range for stolen valor. And I'm pretty sure they're wrong. Very wrong. Another pause. Patricia's voice drops lower. If she's who you think she is, those kids just created an inter-service incident. That's what I'm afraid of. Give me 24 hours, Patricia says. And Walter? If you're right, stay out of it. Let it play through proper channels. Will do. Walter hangs up, feeling both relieved and anxious. Meanwhile, Rachel Bennett drives north on Highway 95, windows down, desert air whipping through the truck cab. Her hands are steady on the wheel. Her breathing is normal now, no 4-count pattern needed, but her mind is racing. Troy Mitchell, Blake Harper, Garrett Stone, Austin Reed, all 4 active-duty Nellis Air Force Base. Troy Security Forces, which means access to gates, security protocols, personnel rosters. Blake with his phone and his viral ambitions. Garrett with his wannabe precision mindset. Austin, the follower. She memorized their names from the brief glimpse of their range check-in sheet when she arrived. Habit. You always know who's in the room with you. Always. The malfunction test worked. Perfectly. She induced the jams herself. Subtle manipulation of the extractor tension that would clear as soon as she stopped applying finger pressure to the right spot during chamber loading. Crude field test, but effective. She wanted to see who would help and who would mock. Who had the discipline to reserve judgment and who would jump to conclusions. Troy failed spectacularly. Not just failed, he escalated. He grabbed her, put hands on her in front of witnesses and cameras. That's actionable. That's documentation. And Blake filmed the whole thing. Posted it publicly, which means there's evidence. Evidence that can't be deleted, can't be denied, already spreading across social media, already building a record. Rachel pulls into a rest stop 10 miles north of the range, parks in the shade of a lonely Joshua tree, pulls out her phone and opens an encrypted messaging app, types quickly. Test complete, 4 suspects identified, video evidence secured, all at Nellis AFB, recommends surveillance protocol 3, standing by for further instructions. She hits send, waits. The response comes back in less than 30 seconds. Confirmed, do not engage directly. Observe social media propagation. Report contacts and engagement patterns. Priority, identify network connections. Rachel types back, understood, will monitor. She sets the phone down, leans back against the headrest, and closes her eyes. The adrenaline is wearing off now, leaving behind the familiar weight of exhaustion. Not physical tiredness, the kind that lives in your bones after years of carrying secrets. The tattoo on her chest, hidden under her shirt, feels like it's burning, not literally, but the weight of it, the meaning. The 2 memorial stars inked into the left wing for Jake Morrison and Maria Santos, the coordinate that marks where everything changed, the motto that became both her creed and her curse, silent, swift, lethal. She can still feel Troy's hand on her shoulder, the pressure, the presumption, the certainty in his voice that he was right, that she was fake, that he had the authority to demand proof. And the worst part is, he genuinely believed he was doing the right thing, protecting military integrity, standing against stolen valor. He has no idea that his self-righteousness just made him a target in an investigation 8 months in the making. No idea that the broken riflewoman he humiliated is the reason that investigation exists. No idea that every word he spoke, every gesture he made, every person he contacted after, is now part of a pattern analysis that will determine whether he's just arrogant or something worse. Rachel opens her eyes, starts the truck, pulls back onto the highway. She has work to do. Blake's video needs to be archived before he deletes it. Troy's social media contacts need to be cross-referenced. Garrett's training records need to be pulled. Austin's digital footprint needs mapping, because somewhere in that network of 4 active-duty airmen is a connection to the leak that got her teammates killed in Mosul. Somewhere in their contacts, their friends, their associates, is the person who sold operation details to hostile forces, the person who knew exact patrol routes, timing, protocols, the person whose information led to that roadside bomb on a Thursday morning in July 2017 that killed Jake instantly and left Maria alive just long enough to know she was dying. Rachel spent 8 months setting up this scenario. Broken civilian near military bases, inducing confrontations, observing reactions, mapping social networks, looking for the pattern, the tell, the connection that law enforcement and military intelligence couldn't find because they were looking for the wrong things in the wrong places. But Rachel knows what to look for because she's not looking for a spy. She's looking for someone who doesn't think they're doing anything wrong, someone who shares too much, trusts too easily, talks too freely, someone who thinks operational security is for other people, not them. Someone exactly like Troy Mitchell, who just posted video of a confrontation at a civilian range without thinking about who might be watching, who might be connecting dots, who might see patterns that lead to questions he really doesn't want asked. The sun climbs higher as Rachel drives. The desert stretches endlessly on both sides. In her rearview mirror, dust rises from the highway in pale brown clouds. Behind her, at Desert Ridge Range, 4 airmen are laughing about their viral moment, completely unaware that the woman they humiliated just added them to a list that will be reviewed by people with authority they can't imagine and consequences they can't avoid. Walter Price was right about one thing. This isn't over. It's only just beginning. And the broken rifle was never broken at all. 3 hours pass. The video Blake posted hits 2,000 views by early afternoon. Comments flood in, mostly supporting Troy's position. Finally, someone calling out fakes. Stolen valor needs to be exposed. That woman couldn't even keep her rifle running. A few dissenting voices question whether harassment was justified, but they're drowned out by the majority. Troy screenshots the positive comments, sends them to his group chat. Validation feels good. He's not the bad guy here. He's protecting military integrity. That's what he tells himself as he scrolls through responses from friends at Nellis, from old training buddies stationed elsewhere, from civilian followers who eat up military content. What Troy doesn't notice is the pattern emerging in his engagement metrics. 3 accounts that liked and shared his video within the first hour. 3 accounts that have no mutual friends with him, but somehow found his content immediately. 3 accounts with minimal post history, generic profile photos, and location tags that don't quite match their supposed bios. Rachel notices, though, she's been tracking the video's spread from her apartment in North Las Vegas, laptop open, multiple browser windows running specialized software that would raise questions if anyone saw it. The 3 accounts flag immediately in her analysis. Bots, maybe, or monitoring accounts. Either way, they represent nodes in a network she's been mapping for months. She cross-references the accounts with previous tests. Same pattern. Every time she's induced a confrontation near a military base, every time video has gone viral, these same style accounts appear. Never the exact same accounts, but the same operational signature. Someone is watching these videos very carefully. Someone with resources to maintain multiple surveillance profiles across platforms. The question is why? What are they looking for in videos of stolen valor confrontations and military range footage? What intelligence value could possibly exist in watching airmen harass a woman with a jammed rifle? Unless they're not watching the woman. Unless they're watching the airmen, looking for something specific. Loose lips, operational details mentioned casually, background conversations caught on audio, uniforms with visible unit patches, faces that can be identified and cross-referenced. Rachel's theory has always been that the leak wasn't intentional espionage, it was carelessness. Someone who didn't realize they were giving away critical information through accumulated small disclosures, social media posts, casual conversations filmed and uploaded, check-ins at locations that revealed patterns. And if that someone was being monitored by hostile intelligence, those small disclosures could be assembled into actionable intelligence. Jake and Maria died because someone talked too much in places they shouldn't have. Rachel's been hunting that someone for 8 months. And Troy Mitchell, with his viral video and his 3 suspicious accounts watching it, just became her best lead yet. By 4 p.m., the video hits 5,000 views. Troy's riding high, accepting congratulations from friends. Blake's already planning follow-up content. Garrett's bragging about the confrontation to his girlfriend. Austin's quieter, but he shared the video too, adding his own commentary about protecting military honor. None of them noticed that their personal accounts, their friend lists, their tagged locations, and their interaction patterns are being systematically documented by someone who knows exactly how to build a prosecutable case. Should she give up? Comment below what you would do in this situation, and hit that thanks button if you want to support stories like this. By 6 p.m., Rachel has compiled enough data to confirm her suspicions. 2 of the 3 suspicious accounts that engaged with Troy's video have historical interactions with accounts linked to previous incidents. Not direct links. 6 degrees of separation style connections, but connections nonetheless, the kind that counterintelligence analysts spend careers mapping. She's preparing her report when her encrypted phone buzzes. Message from Colonel Andrea Flynn. Need to meet. Tonight. Usual place. 7:30. Rachel checks the time. 90 minutes. She saves her work, encrypts the files, and starts getting ready. The usual place is a quiet diner off Boulder Highway, the kind that does decent coffee and minds its own business. Patricia must have talked to Andrea, which means Walter Price followed through on whatever suspicions he had. That complicates things. Rachel wanted to stay completely invisible until she had solid evidence. But Walter recognized something. And if he talked to someone with enough clearance to verify her background, the investigation just went from covert to semi-acknowledged. Not ideal, but manageable. She arrives at the diner at 7:25. Andrea's already there, corner booth, coffee in front of her, but untouched. Colonel Andrea Flynn, 48, Vice Commander at Nellis, former JSOC liaison, career Air Force with enough deployments to understand how operations really work versus how they're supposed to work. She's in civilian clothes, jeans, and a blazer, but her posture gives her away. Military bearing isn't something you turn off. Rachel slides into the booth across from her. "Ma'am." "Cut the ma'am," Andrea says quietly. "You're not active duty anymore. We're just 2 people having coffee." "Understood." Andrea studies Rachel for a long moment. "Patricia Reeves called me this afternoon. Said Walter Price contacted her with concerns about an incident at Desert Ridge Range. Said you were involved. Said it might be something I need to know about." Rachel nods slowly. Walter was there. He saw the confrontation. He also saw enough to guess you're not exactly a civilian enthusiast. Andrea leans forward slightly. So, here's my question. Are you running an operation on my base without clearance? Not on your base, Rachel corrects carefully. Adjacent to it. And I have clearance. Just not through channels you'd be briefed on. Andrea's jaw tightens. Whose authority? Rachel pulls out her phone, opens a specific app, enters a code, hands it across the table. Andrea reads the screen, her expression shifting from irritation to surprise to concern. She hands the phone back. Well then, Andrea says quietly, that changes things. I'd prefer to keep this quiet, Rachel says. The investigation is at a critical juncture. Today's incident actually helped, gave me solid leads. Those 4 airmen, Andrea guesses, Troy Mitchell and his crew, among others, but they're the most promising connection so far. Andrea sits back, processing. You think one of them is your leak. I think they're connected to the leak, probably unknowingly, but their social networks overlap with patterns I've been tracking. How long have you been working this? 8 months, since I got medical clearance to operate independently. Andrea winces. Mosul, I heard about that. I'm sorry about your team. Rachel's expression doesn't change. Thank you. And you think this goes back to operational security failures, not intentional espionage? The evidence suggests carelessness rather than malice, but the result is the same. 2 operators dead, mission compromised, and someone responsible who doesn't even know it. Andrea drinks her coffee, thinking, what do you need from me? Right now, nothing. Just don't interfere. If Troy or his friends file complaints, route them normally. Don't flag them. Don't investigate yourself. Let the process play out. And if they escalate, if they push harder, Rachel allows herself a small smile. Then they'll force the reveal sooner than I planned. But one way or another, this ends soon. Andrea nods. All right, I'll stay clear. But Rachel, if this goes sideways, if there's any chance of collateral damage to personnel or operations, you tell me immediately. Understood? Understood. They finish their coffee in silence. When Rachel leaves, Andrea stays behind, staring at her empty cup and wondering what she just agreed to enable. Saturday evening becomes Sunday morning. The video continues to spread. 7,000 views now. Troy's enjoying his 15 minutes. Blake's already planning more content. Garrett's considering starting his own channel. Austin's just along for the ride. None of them sleep well, though. Something about the confrontation nags at them. The way Rachel didn't fight back, didn't argue, just accepted the harassment and tried to leave. That's not how guilty people act. Guilty people get defensive. They lash out. They make mistakes. Rachel was calm, too calm, like someone used to far worse pressure than 4 airmen at a public range could ever provide. By Sunday afternoon, Troy's browsing comments again when one catches his attention. Account name he doesn't recognize. Profile photo is generic military imagery. Comment reads, careful who you challenge. Some people have credentials you can't verify online. Troy replies, if she's legit, she can prove it. That's all I asked for. The account responds within minutes. Some credentials are classified, some service records are sealed. You might want to consider that before pushing further. Troy's annoyance flares. Then she shouldn't wear military patches in public. That's asking for verification. No response this time. The account goes silent, but the comment stays up, and other people start replying to it. A good point. Classified records are real. Maybe they were too quick to judge. The tide of comments starts shifting. Not dramatically, but enough to make Troy second-guess himself. By evening, he's searching online for Rachel Bennett, trying to find any information. Gets nowhere. No social media presence, no professional profiles, nothing except a generic background check that lists her as a security consultant in North Las Vegas. Vague, unrevealing. Garrett notices Troy's distraction. You still thinking about yesterday? Something doesn't add up, Troy admits. That woman, Rachel Bennett, she's got no online presence, like none. So, some people stay off social media. Not people our age. Everyone has something. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, anything. She's a ghost. Blake overhears. Maybe that's the point. Maybe she knows she's fake and stays invisible to avoid getting caught. But the explanation doesn't satisfy Troy. He's starting to feel the first edge of doubt, not enough to admit he was wrong, just enough to wish the whole thing would go away. It doesn't go away. Monday morning, Troy reports for duty at Nellis, Security Forces Gate Detail, routine work, checking IDs, waving through authorized vehicles, handling the occasional visitor pass. Boring, but necessary. At 10:30 a.m., a Ford F-150 pulls up to the gate, Nevada plates, minor dent in the rear bumper. Troy's attention is elsewhere, going through motions. He glances at the driver and freezes. Rachel Bennett, looking at him through the window, calm, expressionless. Troy's throat tightens. Purpose of visit? Rachel hands over a visitor pass request form, already filled out. Meeting with Colonel Flynn, I'm on the list. Troy checks his tablet. She is. Official visitor approval from the Vice Commander's office. Priority clearance. His hands shake slightly as he processes the pass. You'll need to proceed to the visitor center for badge processing, Troy manages. I know the procedure, Rachel says quietly. He hands back her documents. She drives through without another word. Troy watches the truck disappear into the base, his stomach knotting. Why is she here? Why is she meeting with Colonel Flynn? And why does she have priority clearance? He pulls out his phone, texts Blake. Dude, that woman from the range just came on base. Official visitor for the Vice Commander. Blake replies, No way. Why? Troy. No idea, but this is weird. The weirdness escalates Tuesday afternoon. Troy's off duty, grabbing lunch at the Nellis food court with Garrett, when David Ortega, the range officer from Desert Ridge, walks up to their table. Troy Mitchell? David asks, though he clearly knows who Troy is. Yeah? You need to contact the Office of Special Investigations. They want to interview you regarding an incident at Desert Ridge Range last Saturday. The food court goes quiet around them. Garrett's eyes widen. Troy feels his face flush. OSI? Why? Complaint was filed. Possible assault and harassment. They're investigating. David hands over a business card. Call that number. Today. Don't make them come find you. David leaves. Troy stares at the card. Office of Special Investigations. The Air Force's Internal Criminal Investigation Unit. This isn't administrative. This is serious. Holy cow, Garrett breathes. She actually filed charges? Troy's hands are shaking now. I didn't assault anyone. I just grabbed her shoulder. That's not assault. Unwanted physical contact is assault, Garrett says slowly, realization dawning. And Blake filmed it. There's evidence. Troy's world tilts. The viral video that was supposed to prove he was right suddenly becomes evidence that he was wrong. Very wrong. He calls the OSI number that afternoon, gets an appointment for Wednesday morning, can't eat, can't sleep. Spends Tuesday night replaying the confrontation in his mind, seeing it differently now. The way Rachel tried to leave, the way he blocked her, the way he grabbed her shoulder when she didn't comply. From his perspective, it was righteous confrontation. From a legal perspective, it's assault and battery. Wednesday morning, Troy sits in an OSI interview room at Nellis. 2 agents across from him. They're professional, calm, and terrifyingly thorough. They have Blake's video. They have witness statements from range attendees. They have Rachel's formal complaint. And they have something else. Agent Morrison slides a folder across the table. Do you know who Rachel Bennett is? Some civilian, Troy says weakly. Try again. Morrison opens the folder. Inside is a document, heavily redacted, but with enough visible to make Troy's stomach drop. Rachel Bennett, former staff sergeant, explosive ordnance disposal, Shadowbat unit, Mosul counterterrorism operations, 2016 to 2017. Medical discharge following IED incident that killed 2 team members. Service record is partially classified due to operational security. Troy can't breathe. She was military? She was EOD attached to a Special Operations Counterterrorism Unit, Agent Parker says. That patch on her sleeve wasn't stolen. She earned it. And those credentials you demanded? Most of them are sealed, classified. She couldn't show you even if she wanted to. I didn't know, Troy whispers. You didn't ask, Morrison counters. You assumed, you confronted, you physically grabbed her, all caught on video that you helped spread publicly. Video that's now being reviewed by multiple agencies for potential security violations. Security violations? Troy's voice cracks. Base locations visible in background, unit affiliations mentioned in audio, faces of active duty personnel, all posted publicly without operational security review. Parker leans forward. You do understand that foreign intelligence services monitor viral military content, right? Looking for exactly this kind of casual information disclosure? Troy feels sick. I was trying to stop stolen valor by creating an actual security incident, Morrison says. We're still determining full consequences, but minimum, you're looking at Article 15 for assault, possible reduction in rank, possible loss of security clearance. Your chain of command will be notified today. The interview continues for 2 hours. By the end, Troy's entire self-image has shattered. He wasn't protecting integrity. He was creating the exact problem he thought he was stopping. Blake Garrett and Austin received similar notifications. OSI wants statements from all of them. The video is official evidence now. Their social media accounts are under review. Their friend networks are being analyzed for security compliance. What started as a viral moment has become a career-threatening disaster. Thursday afternoon, Rachel returns to Desert Ridge Range, not to shoot, to meet with Walter Price, who asked to see her privately. They sit at a picnic table outside the main building, desert wind carrying dust across empty lanes. They told you, didn't they? Walter says. It's not a question. Rachel nods. Colonel Flynn confirmed you reached out to Patricia Reeves. Thank you for being discreet. I served long enough to recognize when something's bigger than it looks. Walter pauses. Those boys are in trouble now. They put themselves there, Rachel says without satisfaction. I didn't file the complaint to punish them. I filed it because the video they posted became evidence in a larger investigation. The leak you're hunting. Rachel looks at him sharply. How much did they tell you? Enough to know you lost teammates. Enough to know you think it was preventable. Walter's voice is gentle. I lost friends too. Different war. Same pain. They sit in silence for a moment. Then Walter asks, did you find what you were looking for in all this? Partial confirmation, Rachel admits. Troy's social network has connections to accounts we've been monitoring. Not direct, but close enough to warrant deeper investigation. So he's not the leak himself. No, he's just careless. Posts without thinking. Shares without considering consequences. But someone in his extended network is watching, learning, compiling. And now that someone knows you're watching back, Rachel allows a thin smile. Now they know, which means they'll either go dark or make a mistake. Either way, we're closer than we've been in months. Walter shakes his head. You set yourself up as bait. Let those boys attack you. Force them to create evidence. That's cold. That's necessary, Rachel corrects. Cold would be letting more people die because I was too cautious to draw out the threat. Fair point. Walter stands, joints creaking. For what it's worth, I think Jake and Maria would be proud. You didn't let their deaths be meaningless. Rachel stands too. I haven't finished yet. Still work to do. They shake hands. Walter heads to his car. Rachel remains at the picnic table, watching the sun descend toward the desert horizon. Her phone buzzes. Encrypted message. Network analysis complete. Connection confirmed between Troy Mitchell's contact and suspected foreign intelligence asset. Recommend escalation to federal investigation. Authorization granted for full disclosure and coordination with FBI counterintelligence. Rachel reads the message twice. 8 months of work. 8 months of playing the victim, absorbing harassment, inducing confrontations, mapping networks. And finally, confirmation. Not the leak's identity yet, but confirmation that the leak exists, that it's traceable, that justice is possible. She types a response. Understood. Request permission to proceed with reveal protocol. The reply comes back. Permission granted. Coordinate with local Air Force OSI for maximum impact. Full authority restored effective immediately. Rachel allows herself a moment of satisfaction. Then she makes a call. Friday morning, Troy Mitchell receives a summons to report to the base theater at Nellis. He's told all security forces personnel are required to attend a mandatory training on operational security and social media responsibility. He goes reluctantly, expecting a boring PowerPoint presentation and a lecture about being careful online. The theater fills with about 200 airmen. Leadership is present. Colonel Flynn sits in the front row. The lights dim. A presenter takes the stage. Not someone Troy recognizes. A woman in civilian clothes carrying a tablet. The woman is Rachel Bennett. Troy's blood runs cold. Garrett, sitting 2 seats over, grabs his arm. That's her. Blake, 3 rows back, shrinks in his seat. Austin looks like he might be sick. Rachel's voice carries clearly through the theater sound system. Good morning. I'm Rachel Bennett. Some of you may recognize me from a video that went viral last week. A video showing me at a civilian shooting range, experiencing rifle malfunctions, being confronted about stolen valor, and ultimately assaulted on camera. The theater is dead silent. That video has been viewed over 20,000 times now. It's been shared across multiple platforms, commented on by hundreds of people, and analyzed by foreign intelligence services in at least 3 countries. Murmurs ripple through the audience. Rachel continues, calm and professional. The confrontation was real. The harassment was real. But what wasn't real was the assumption that I'm a civilian playing dress-up. She taps her tablet. The screen behind her illuminates. Official military photo. Rachel in uniform, Staff Sergeant rank, EOD badge visible. Staff Sergeant Rachel Bennett, Explosive Ordnance Disposal, Shadow Bat Unit, Mosul Counter-Terrorism Operations. 2 combat deployments, 8 years active duty. Medical discharge following injuries sustained during an IED incident that killed 2 of my teammates. The photo changes. Formal portrait of a man in uniform. Staff Sergeant Jake Morrison, killed in action, July 2017, Mosul, Iraq. Another photo, a woman in uniform. Sergeant Maria Santos, killed in action, same incident. Rachel's voice remains steady, but there's steel underneath. They died because someone talked too much. Someone posted operational details on social media. Someone checked in at locations that revealed patterns. Someone shared information that seemed harmless in isolation, but became actionable intelligence when assembled. And hostile forces used that intelligence to plan an attack. The weight of her words crushes the theater into suffocating silence. For 8 months, I've been investigating that leak, running scenarios near military installations, observing how personnel handle confrontations, monitoring who films what and where those videos go, tracking who watches them and who shares them, building a map of careless disclosure that led from casual social media posts to combat deaths. She pauses, lets that sink in. Last Saturday, I deliberately induced rifle malfunctions at Desert Ridge Range. I wanted to see who would help and who would mock, who would show discipline and who would show ego. 4 airmen from this base chose mockery, chose confrontation, chose to film and post publicly without considering security implications. And in doing so, they confirmed patterns I've been tracking. Troy feels every eye in the theater on him, wants to disappear, wants to die. The video they posted was seen by 3 accounts linked to suspected foreign intelligence operations. Those accounts have been monitoring similar content for months, harvesting faces, matching unit affiliations, building target packages, and last Saturday, they got fresh data, delivered voluntarily, by personnel who thought they were protecting military integrity. Rachel's eyes scan the audience. You weren't protecting anything, you were compromising it, and that's why we're here today. She clicks to the next slide. Operational security isn't about classified briefings and locked doors. Then it's about every single interaction, every post, every video, every casual conversation in public. Because our adversaries aren't trying to steal secrets anymore. They're waiting for us to give them away, one thoughtless post at a time. The presentation continues for 40 minutes. Examples of OPSEC failures, consequences, best practices, legal ramifications. By the end, every person in that theater understands exactly how much damage casual social media use can cause. When Rachel finishes, Colonel Flynn takes the stage. 4 personnel from this base are currently under investigation for assault, harassment, and OPSEC violations stemming from the incident described. Their cases will proceed through appropriate channels. But everyone in this room needs to understand, you are all vulnerable to the same mistakes. Foreign intelligence doesn't need to hack our systems. They just need to watch your Instagram stories. The briefing ends. Personnel file out silently, sobered. Troy tries to leave quickly, but David Ortega, the range officer, intercepts him near the exit. She could have pressed felony charges, David says quietly. Assault on a veteran, public humiliation, civil rights violations. Instead, she used it as a teaching moment. You're lucky she's more interested in fixing the system than punishing you. Troy can't respond, just nods and walks away, carrying shame that will follow him for years. Outside the theater, Rachel packs her tablet and materials. Colonel Flynn approaches. That was effective, Andrea says. Half those airmen looked ready to delete their social media entirely. Good, Rachel replies. That's the point. And Troy Mitchell's group? Article 15 for Troy, reduced rank, loss of clearance. Blake, Garrett, and Austin get mandatory OPSEC retraining and probation. Their videos stay up as cautionary examples, annotated with security warnings. Andrea nods approval. And your investigation? Progressing. The accounts that engaged with Troy's video led to 3 more nodes in the network. FBI counterintelligence is taking over from here. My part is done. So, what's next for you? Rachel looks toward the base entrance, toward the desert beyond. I have one more meeting, then I'm supposed to disappear again. That meeting happens Saturday afternoon. Back at Desert Ridge Range, private lane reservation, Rachel, Walter Price, and 3 other veterans who were present during the confrontation. Also present, via secure video call, are Patricia Reeves and 2 representatives from the FBI. They review the complete investigation, the patterns Rachel identified, the network she mapped, the connection between careless social media use and the Mosul incident, the confirmation that Jake and Maria's deaths were caused by accumulated intelligence gathered from public sources. The leak wasn't a spy, it was a culture of oversharing, of validation seeking, of thoughtless disclosure. Dozens of people contributing tiny pieces of information that hostile intelligence assembled into targeting data. Can you prosecute? Walter asks the FBI representatives. We're building cases against 3 foreign intelligence operatives who orchestrated the monitoring network, one agent replies. The service members who inadvertently disclosed information won't face charges. They didn't break laws. They just failed to understand consequences. So no justice, Rachel says quietly. No punishment, the agent corrects. But hopefully prevention. Your briefings are being adapted for service-wide OPSEC training. Jake and Maria's story will be told anonymously as a cautionary tale. That's legacy. That's justice of a different kind. Rachel nods slowly, accepting what she can get. The call ends. The veterans talk quietly amongst themselves, sharing old war stories, finding comfort in shared experience. Rachel steps outside, needing air, needing space. Her phone buzzes, encrypted message, not from her handlers this time. Different signature. She opens it. Image file. Satellite photograph of a compound in Syria, near the Iraqi border. Coordinates listed. Below the image, a single line of text. Tower 4 sends regards. Operator responsible for Mosul intelligence leak identified. Located at coordinates provided. Recommend action. Authorization pending your confirmation. Rachel stares at the message. The investigation she thought was ending is revealing another layer. The foreign operatives were being managed by someone higher, someone who ordered the surveillance, someone who used the harvested intelligence to plan attacks, someone who can be found, reached, held accountable. Below the text is a prompt, accept mission, with 2 buttons, yes or no. Rachel's finger hovers over the screen. She thinks about Jake, laughing at a bad joke the day before he died, about Maria, singing off key during gear maintenance, about the promise she made standing over their graves. She thinks about Troy Mitchell, broken and humiliated but ultimately just careless, about Blake Harper, deleting his social media accounts in shame, about the hundreds of service members who unknowingly contributed to the leak through accumulated thoughtlessness. She thinks about the broader pattern, the systemic failure, the cultural problem that no single prosecution will solve. And she thinks about the man whose face is in the attached file, the intelligence operative who orchestrated it all, who weaponized American carelessness, who turned social media into a targeting system. Justice isn't loud, it's patient. Rachel doesn't click either button, not yet. She saves the message, encrypts it, and puts the phone away. Because some decisions require more than impulse. Some missions require planning, and some justice requires precision. She walks back into the range building, where Walter and the others wait, returns to the conversation, accepts a cup of coffee, laughs at an old war story. Acts normal, but in the back of her mind, coordinates burn. Tower 4, Syria. A name, a face, a target. Justice has arrived, but the story isn't over. Share this video with those who need to see it. And stay tuned for the next chapter, because there's a bigger threat still hiding in the shadows. The sun sets over Desert Ridge Range, casting long shadows across empty lanes. Rachel Bennett drinks her coffee, surrounded by veterans who understand what she's been through, what she's lost, what she's fighting for. Tomorrow, there will be decisions to make, missions to accept or decline, battles to fight or walk away from. But tonight, there's just coffee and stories and the quiet comfort of people who've seen the same darkness and came back anyway. Justice isn't loud, it's patient, and tonight, it's just getting started. Walter refills her cup without asking, the gesture carrying decades of unspoken understanding between those who've served. Across the table, the other veterans trade contact information, promises to meet again, bonds forged in shared recognition. Rachel's phone stays silent in her pocket, the encrypted message waiting, the coordinates burning like unfinished business. She traces the rim of her coffee cup, feeling the weight of 2 memorial stars inked permanently into her skin. Jake would tell her to accept. Maria would tell her to think it through. Both would tell her she's not alone anymore. The choice can wait until morning. Some battles require rest before engagement. Some operators need one quiet night before stepping back into the fire. Tonight, she chooses the coffee.